What is your job and what does your day in the life look like? I service swimming pools in Florida. I do 20 a day, 100 a week. I balance chemicals and make these pools pretty for my homeowners.
Even after 20 years at the same company, I still love my job.
I'm an archaeologist. A lot of archaeologists like me work in the construction industry, rather than for a university or a museum. Basically, anytime someone wants to build something, the land has to get surveyed for anything that could be archaeologically significant. My company gets hired to survey the site. If we find stuff, we often get hired to dig it up. Most days are spent walking through woods and farmer fields. We check for evidence of sites,
dig small test pits and make lots of maps. Sometimes we find a cool site and get to spend a few weeks fully excavating it.
I distribute and translate board games. It's about as exciting as you'd expect. I'm a night watchman at a museum. I patrol the galleries after hours, and in my downtown I'm free to do as I like. A great position, as I like to bring work in to do and my days are free. I can watch TV. I can work on my own art practice. The rare bad day is dealing with monitoring system failure or a facility issue, all a busted HVAC or blown pipes. It's a very chill job with a lot of agency, so long as you don't violate the high level of trust and don't mind the hours. I'm an armed security guard for a nightclub. I get paid by shift, but if you do the math, I make about $35 an hour. I get to work at 9 p.m. and usually leave around 4 a.m. I spend 92% of my nights checking IDs, playing on my phone and searching people for weapons. 8% of my nights breaking up fights or arguments. But I spend 100% of my nights hoping I don't get jumped, hit with a glass bottle, or shot. I work at Subway. I normally go in early as hell so I have time to cry in the cooler for a minute. School bus driver. 6 a.m. Crawl my happy ass out of bed to be at work in 15 minutes. It'll still be dark out when I'm driving most of the route and most of my co-workers will see me. So absolutely no effort goes into looking presentable besides putting clothes on. 6:15. Pre-trip the bus, making sure it isn't going to fall apart or catch on fire. Jenna. Occasionally tell the mechanics something's horribly wrong, and have to run to go pre-trip another bus when I can't take mine. If that happens, it becomes blatantly obvious how much of driving a bus is muscle memory, as I struggle to do basic things like open the door and set the parking brake. 6:40. Drive around out in the country,
playing tag with deer and other small animals,
picking up the 4 or so kids that live out there before making my way back into town to pick up more people. Intersperse this with telling elementary school kids to stay TF in their seats.
Around 7:30 or so I'll drop everyone off,
post-trip my bus, and go home. 8 o'clock to 11 a.m. Mess around at home,
not doing any of the productive things I should be doing.
I occasionally use this time for a danger nap. That is, a nap I didn't intend to take, with no safeguards in place to ensure I actually wake up at the time I'm supposed to. 11:15 to 1 p.m. Me and another bus driver take the preschoolers to preschool.
It's my job to get them on the bus and buckled in their seats,
besides 1 or 2 of them screaming every now and then. This is the easiest part of my job, but because I'm only the aide and not the driver, I get paid less, so it'd be real great if my driver finally quits like he says he's been going to for all year. 1 o'clock to 2:30 p.m. I get to clean some of the buses they use for activities and field trips. Since the whole coronavirus thing, these buses have basically sat unused, meaning I get free money to invest into $GME. 2:30 to 3:45. Pre-trip the bus. Go and pick up the elementary school students. Because of the way things have had to be rescheduled this year, We now have to sit in the high school parking lot with the elementary schoolers on the bus for about half an hour. And it's just as terrible as it sounds. 3:45, 4:50, take everybody home. My least behaved students are some of the last to get dropped off out in the country. Of course, I'm pretty sure at this point my high schoolers and middle schoolers could start a satanic cult in the back of the bus and I wouldn't know or care because I'm too busy dealing with the elementary schoolers in the front of the bus. Get back to the lot, post-trip the bus again, plug the bus in, and go home.
I work in horse breeding.
And it is horrible. I lost my job as a waitress during the pandemic and was looking for work.
And thought, hey,
I rode horses for a while in high school.
Let's apply for this. And the salary was better than a waitress.
But the work is just plain gross. Spending all day around stinky,
horny as fuck stallions who want to fuck anything that moves.
Particularly if it smells like a mare. Cleaning smegma out of horse penises. Ugh. No fun. I'm not sure how I'm still here. Except the money's good. I work at a CVS pharmacy. It's the worst existence I can think of. Verbal abuse all day every day. The doctor didn't send in your script? My fault. Insurance won't pay for 4 tramadol tablet per day? My fault. Copay too high. Oh geez, sorry, I'll just adjust your insurance formulary for you because I work for your insurance. Right. Not to mention the stress of trying to fill 10 scripts in the next 5 minutes while also answering non-stop phone calls only to have someone blow up at you because they had to wait 5 fucking minutes.
It makes me want to kill myself.
For real. I work in a group home for the developmentally disabled. My day can have several different ways it can go, but it's usually just hanging out in a nice house helping out some peeps who have trouble with everyday tasks. Some days I'm a nurse, others a personal chef, a handyman, chauffeur, you name it. I work on a ranch. This time of year my day consists of waking up around 5, heading out of the house around 6 to get some tractors started and check in with my coworkers. About 6:30 we start heading out with feed. We feed approximately 1,800 head of cows and around 1,500 head of weaned calves. Usually finish feeding around noon, which is when I get to start working on whatever froze, broke or otherwise messed up overnight. Not a lot of fun stuff happening this time of year, and luckily we don't start calving until May. I'm a zookeeper. I love it, but for the most part it's pretty unglamorous. I spend 10% of my time talking to the public, 10% of my time playing with animals, 20% doing paperwork, and the other 60% is preparing food or shoveling various forms of poop. And depending on the species, the poop can easily be 1,000 times worse than dog or cow poop. I type this comment as I'm just getting home from a day of cleaning the otter enclosure.
And my husband still won't enter the room with me even after a shower.
I work in a central kitchen for Meals on Wheels, and we provide anywhere from 400 to 600 meals a day. For our county, there are only 4 of us that make the food, and 1 person is in charge of dessert and only works 16 hours a week. We start our day at 4:30 and the meals go out at 10. We rely on volunteers for help serving and delivery.
I think our volunteer count was around 200 last I heard.
Most of them are retired or people taking time during their lunch break to deliver 10 to 12 meals for their route. All the food is made from scratch, and we run our operation out of an old nursing home kitchen.
Our equipment is old and a little run down, but we make it work.
I'm an undertaker, and depending on the day,
I bring deceased into my care from hospital mortuaries, or sometimes during the day I will get
called out to a private address or care home, hospice. Majority of most days I will be out on funerals. driving the hearse, limousine and bearing the coffin into the crematorium or lowering into a grave. I will prepare and dress the deceased ready for funerals and viewings. I will also line and fit coffins and engrave nameplates among general cleaning of the funeral home and vehicles. It can be pretty full-on physically as well as emotionally. But I really appreciate my job and the comfort I can help bring to some families. Social worker. I spend 75% of my day on the phone listening to really sad stories and do my best to find a solution or some assistance. Confused face. Then the other 25% documenting the crap out of everything like my life depends on it. I'm a homeowner's insurance claim adjuster. I handle mid to large size claims,
usually fires, burst pipes,
or similar. So most everyone I talk to is displaced from their home,
is scared and confused about what's next,
and has heard a million horror stories about how insurance companies just do all they can to screw you over. About 60% of my day is spent on the phone explaining the process and policy to people, answering whatever questions they have, answering them again when they forget or get confused,
getting to know customers because I'll be talking to them for the next 6 to 18 months,
and doing my best to make them feel at ease and getting them to trust that I have their best interests at heart. About 20% is coordinating various vendors, contractors, housing, etc., and about 20% is spent looking over photos, estimates, and reports. We also have to document everything we do and nearly every conversation, so there's a great deal of
time dedicated to that.
Pre-COVID, I typically drove 2 to 6 hours each day to inspect homes, so a lot of this work was done behind the wheel and in person. I am a Navy mechanic. I show up and fix whatever the sailors manage to break. Airline pilot. TLDR. Lots of time spent working off the clock. Pre-trip. Starts day before or morning of a trip. Pack up 15 to 30 minutes, change of clothes. Hygiene bag. My EFB is charged and updated. And any other minor things I want. Food. Eating out is expensive, unhealthy, and sometimes unavailable. Have to spend a little over an hour preparing, packaging, freezing, and storing the food. Transit takes 30 minutes to commute to the airport, another 15 from the parking lot.
Thankfully for COVID we get terminal parking.
If TSA randoms you,
then you get to go to the TSA pre-check line and do that thing. Except you have more than a normal amount of carry-ons, so it takes a bit longer. At least you can tell people to get out of your way.
From here, it's now a normal day, whether the beginning of a trip or the middle of a trip. Pre-flight. Find the gate and head in. Check in with gate agent. Ask the door code for the walk around. Do the walk around and hope nothing is wrong to slow the flight. Head inside, say hi to the crew and secure my bags. Sign into the airplane with my EFB. Supposed to do this soon as possible, but having to wait to get into the plane. Then wait to get out of the plane while the crew jams up the door is god-awfully inefficient. Prepare my station by resetting any settings made by the previous crew member or changed by maintenance, and verify station is in order. Request weather, pre-departure clearance. Enter in the route. Check EFB for performance data. Enter in performance data. Enter in runway data. Wait. Pre-flight briefing is done between the pilots. Wait.
Passenger and bags in.
Enter in and get takeoff and weight and balance to enter in. Communicate with ground crew. Doors closed and airplane brake is released.
Now we start to get paid.
Pushback. Talk to controller and pushback. Start the engines. Taxi to the runway and take off. Enjoy the fun of flying the departure until the route straightens out 5 minutes after. Autopilot on. Occasionally one pilot checks in with the controllers every 10 to 20 minutes. Keep waiting. Read a book. Stare out a window. Maybe talk about the same mundane pilot stuff and hope the other crew member has a life outside of aviation. Keep waiting. Request weather, landing data, gate data, and check fuel for destination. Make any necessary landing changes. Pilots brief the arrival. Keep waiting. Begin. Decent, good autopilots can handle it mostly by themselves. Near airport, controllers will change up the path as necessary to cram in as many planes as possible. Just turn your heading and altitude knobs as asked. On final approach, autopilot off. Enjoy the 5 minutes of landing.
Taxi back, shut down engines.
Pay clock stops. If you have another leg, wait 50 minutes to a few hours and hopefully not have to walk to a new airplane. If not, then call the hotel shuttle because you will be the only one that does it and they always take longer than you'd like. Walk to the curbside. Fuck SLC, it takes over 20 minutes and at least a mile walk from gate to curbside from Terminal B. Wait for the late shuttle. Pack in, commute anywhere between 5 to 45 minutes. Pack out, check into hotel. Figure out where the hotel rooms are. Believe me, sometimes a hotel is very not obvious. Figure out the food and ice scenario. Refrigerators are sometimes too tiny for your ice packs in food or they don't work. Not all the rooms have microwaves and you have to go downstairs. So you should probably change out of your uniform now. Unpack as necessary. Enjoy your 8 to 12 hours of rest opportunity before having to be at the terminal the next day. Pass security. Don't forget to budget for repacking. Circadian rhythm doesn't apply here. Some trips start off in the afternoon but progressively call for reporting in earlier and earlier and earlier. So day 1 at 1 p.m., day 2 at 10 a.m., day 3 at 6 a.m., day 4 at 4:45 a.m. Which also means that you don't get your normal 24-hour budget of time for a given day's work shift. Continue cycle until trip is over. I'm an aerospace engineer with NASA. Every day is a new and exciting challenge. I've been lucky to have a career full of extremely challenging and mostly
fun projects.
So it's a real dream come true. Right now we're prepping to land the Perseverance spacecraft on Mars. For the next 2 weeks we're working through the decision-making process for the trajectory correction maneuvers and flight software updates that are scheduled over the next 2.5 weeks before landing. Tune in on February 18th to watch the action. I work books in a thrift store. My day is like Christmas morning in a round of Russian roulette all at once since I never know what's going to be inside a box. 200 Harlequin romance novels. Hardcover hand-painted books from the 1700s. A newspaper from the day Kennedy was shot. Human teeth. Grandma's bank paranoia cash stash. Literal cat shit. Porn mags.
Who knows?
Not me.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Aerocast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.